Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We're here to give you the knowledge you need, fast and deep.
And today we are really getting into something fascinating.
We are. The mission today is a deep dive into musical mastery, specifically how to get really, truly expressive on the saxophone.
Right, but with a very modern twist. The sources you gave us point to this surprising combination of, well, the old and the new.
The goal is mastering the analog alto saxophone, the classic brass instrument.
But the secret weapon, the thing that accelerates the whole journey, is a high-tech digital practice tool.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're talking about a hierarchy of tools. The sources are basically arguing that digital perfection can actually rewire a musician's brain.
Exactly, making them better on the much more demanding analog instrument.
And to really get this, we need to define a couple of key terms from the sources.
We do. First is intonation.
Which is just the accuracy of the pitch, right? Being in tune.
Being perfectly in tune. If you're not really communicating anything. And second, etudes.
These are those musical pieces designed for practice, for building technique.
That's right. They're compositions specifically to challenge you and push your skills forward.
And the initial nugget, the claim that really kicks us all off, is that this digital saxophone, the Yamaha YDS-150, it didn't just help with practice.
No. The source claims it fundamentally made the player a better musician on their traditional alto sax.
Which is, that's a pretty counterintuitive idea.
It really is. The common wisdom is that relying on a digital tool creates a crutch, right? That it actually weakens the skills you need for the real, unforgiving analog world.
So we need to figure out how this specific technology gets around that.
Yeah, what makes it different?
Exactly. Let's start with the foundation, the primary tool. Why is the analog saxophone so critical, and why is it so, frankly, brutally difficult to master?
Well, the sources are absolutely clear on this. The real analog saxophone is irreplaceable.
It's the main event.
Always. No digital instrument, I don't care how sophisticated it is, will ever truly substitute the analog horn for, say, a live performance or for ultimate mastery.
And why is that? What's the physical difference?
It's because the analog instrument requires this really complex partnership.
Yes.
It's between your breath, your embouchure.
That's the way you shake your mouth on the mouthpiece.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the actual physical resistance of the horn itself. You are literally fighting physics to create a beautiful sound.
And it's not just about hitting the notes. It's about staying in tune across this huge range. What is it, 4 octaves?
Often 4 octaves, yeah. And to do that consistently, expressively, it takes thousands of hours.
We're talking years, decades even.
Decades of really dedicated, sometimes tedious practice,
Yeah.
and that immense time commitment, plus the fact that the instrument itself isn't perfect. It might be sharp in one register, flat in another.
You're right.
That's why so many players just burn out, or they hit a plateau they can't get past.
And that difficulty is exactly what the secondary tool is meant to help with.
It's designed to neutralize some of that difficulty, but only during practice.
Okay, so let's talk about that secondary tool, the Yamaha YDS-150 digital saxophone. The sources are very specific about its role here.
Extremely specific. It's a professional practice tool.
Not a performance tool, not for the stage.
No, it's an accelerator. It is not a replacement.
And its value is really all about pragmatism.
Completely. First, think about the cost. A pro-level analog sax can run you thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars.
And the YDS-150 is, what, a fraction of that?
A fraction. But beyond the cost, it's light, it's portable, and it gets rid of the 2 biggest enemies of consistent practice.
Yeah.
Noise and friction.
The friction of setting up, right. You don't have to deal with reeds and cleaning and all the maintenance of an analog horn just for a quick practice session.
You just pick it up and go. And the noise factor is huge. You can plug in headphones and practice incredibly complex etudes at 2 in the morning in an apartment.
Without waking up the neighbors?
Exactly. So all this means you spend less time managing the gear and more time actually mastering the music.
So the idea is synthesis. The 2 instruments, digital and analog, they complement each other.
They absolutely do. The source argues that both have to be part of a serious player's arsenal.
Okay, so now we get to the core of it, the aha moment. What is the actual mechanism here? How does this thing accelerate skill on the analog horn?
It comes down to one critical feature. The digital advantage.
Which is?
The YDS-150 always plays perfectly in tune.
Always.
Every note, every register, every time. It's guaranteed by the sound modeling. It's perfect.
But how does a perfect machine make a human better at a very imperfect, very demanding mechanical task? That's the part I'm trying to wrap my head around.
Okay, this is the really cool cognitive training part.
Right.
Think about what happens when you play a real saxophone. You're constantly playing a little bit out of tune. You hear that tiny error, and you unconsciously adjust your mouth, your air, something to fix it. But if your own ear isn't perfectly trained, you might make the wrong fix. Or you just settle for good enough.
So your brain is actually learning to accept and even reproduce small errors.
Exactly. It's building muscle memory for being inconsistent. But when you switch to the digital sax, the game changes.
How so?
Because the pitch is always perfect, your brain and your subconscious are just hearing the ideal frequency over and over and over again. It's pure reinforcement.
So it's building a perfect internal reference point for what a note should sound like.
Precisely. And then, when you go back to the analog instrument,
You carry that perfect hearing with you.
you do. You're not guessing anymore. Your ear is now super sensitive to any deviation, and it instantly flags a microscopic error on the analog horn.
So you can make a much more precise physical adjustment.
That's it. The digital tool hasn't taken away the need for that difficult physical control. What it's done is perfect the internal target that you're aiming for.
Wow, so it's removing the static, basically. It lets you hear your own true errors with total clarity, which then speeds up the learning curve for your body.
You're training the brain first. The demanding physical technique follows from that new cognitive clarity. It's an incredible idea.
And the YDS-150 is really built for this kind of focused work.
It is. The headphone jack is huge, obviously, but the real game changer is the external line-in, the O-in.
Right, so you can pipe in music to play along with.
You can jam with professional backing tracks. You can listen to a perfect recording of an etude while you sight read it. It turns what could be isolating practice into this fully immersive session.
Where the only thing you have to worry about correcting is your own playing.
Exactly.
So if we zoom out a bit, the player in the source material has even bigger plans. This isn't just about the alto sax.
No, not at all. Their long-term goal is to master the entire family of saxophones, the whole SATB suite.
Which is soprano, alto, tenor, and baritone.
Yeah.
That's a huge undertaking. Each one is a different beast.
A very different beast with unique intonation and embouchure challenges. But their plan is really strategic.
What's the plan?
Once they have all 4 analog horns, they intend to expand their YDS-150 practice to cover all of them, since the digital sax can model the sound of the entire family.
They can apply that same perfect intonation training across all 4 instruments.
Maximizing their time, accelerating mastery across the board. It's incredibly efficient.
And this focus on the saxophone family leads to a really profound point the source makes. It draws a parallel to a totally different group of instruments.
Right. They argue that there are really 2 sets of instruments in the orchestra that are considered the most expressive, the most fluid.
The SATB saxophone.
SATB strings.
Let's just list those out because the parallel is pretty amazing. For
Okay.
saxes, it's soprano, alto, tenor, baritone.
And for strings, it maps perfectly. The violin is the soprano voice.
The viola is the alto,
Cello covers the tenor and bass range.
and the double bass handles those lowest booming frequencies.
And what's so fascinating is why the source connects these 2 families. I mean, they make sound in completely different ways.
So what's the common thread? Why are they both so good at communicating emotion?
It's because both sets of instruments are fundamentally very, very similar to the human voice.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. They can mimic the range, the fluidity, the way a voice can sustain a note. It just feels deeply relatable to us as listeners.
And that similarity makes them incredibly effective at moving people emotionally.
It does. And that realization kind of shifts the whole conversation, doesn't it? We go from the technical perfecting intonation to the philosophical.
Yeah.
What is the musician's actual job?
Right. That's the next big section in the source, the why behind all this dedication. It argues that all this practice, all this work, it's about addressing a universal human condition.
And that condition is suffering.
That's a heavy word.
It is. But the source defines it as just an unavoidable part of being human. It doesn't matter where you're from, your background, your education. It's universal. And that provides the context for the musician's true purpose.
So the musician's job, according to the source, is to help listeners to heal.
That's it. It's a powerful mandate. It turns all those thousands of hours of painstaking practice into something profound, almost a spiritual necessity.
So the technical mastery, the perfect intonation that you get from the digital tool, that's just the vehicle.
It's the vehicle. It's what you need to be able to communicate one very simple but very powerful message to anyone who listens.
And what is that message?
The message is, no matter what you're going through, everything is going to be okay.
And you can't deliver that message if you're squeaking a note or playing flat.
You absolutely cannot. The technical mastery is the only pathway to that kind of deep emotional connection.
So let's synthesize all of this. What does it all mean for someone trying to learn an instrument?
Well, it means mastery isn't just about perfect technique for its own sake.
Right. It's about using perfectly tuned practice with a tool like the YDS-150 to get the expressive control you need on the real analog instrument.
So you can fulfill that healing mandate. The digital tool is like the secret accelerator for the spiritual mission. It just removes the technical friction that gets in the way of the emotional message.
It's a perfect blend of high-tech efficiency and really deep human purpose.
Yeah, the technology serves the connection. The perfect pitch trains the perfect mind, so the player can focus completely on the music and the message.
So to recap, we've covered a huge amount of ground here. We started with digital wind instruments and ended with a universal philosophy of music. We've laid out a clear hierarchy.
Where the analog saxophone is the goal, the demanding, irreplaceable foundation.
But the digital instrument, the YDS-150, it's not a replacement. It's this indispensable cognitive trainer.
It literally retrains your subconscious ear. It overwrites years of inconsistent muscle memory and just accelerates that incredibly difficult journey toward mastery.
And that brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to take away. If mastering intonation is a key step to maximizing expressiveness on instruments that mimic the human voice, what other demanding analog skills could be radically improved with a perfectly calibrated digital practice simulator?
Oh, that's interesting.
Think about things like surgery or piloting or maybe high-precision craftsmanship. Anywhere, a digital environment could perfect your internal reference point before you have to perform in the real world.
That is a truly provocative final thought. Until next time, keep digging deeper.